Let's call the meeting of the zoning board of appeals to order. We will start out. We've got a roll call, record of attendance. Looks like all present. We will go on to Article 2, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Article 4, approval of minutes from the June 14th meeting.
Make a motion to approve. Support.
We have a motion and support approval of the meeting minutes from June 14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Article 5, acknowledgement of visitors or others wishing to speak on non-agenda items. Looks like no one in the audience. How about online? Nothing. We will move on to Article 6, which is case number 22-3716.
All right, so the applicant here is requesting approval of a temporary use to allow for the property and greenhouse building at 3295 Snow Avenue to be used as an event venue. The property is currently used as a greenhouse. They would like to use the greenhouse building to host up to 20 events during their off season when the building sits empty during the fall months. So the applicant indicated that they anticipate having 50 to 200 guests at events, that they will only be using the first third of the greenhouse building as the event area. With no other alterations currently planned for the site. There are currently 36 paved parking spaces on site, and the application shows the possibility of adding up to 50 spaces in the adjacent lawn areas. So if this were to become a permanent use, there'd most likely need to be additional approved parking areas added. This is a bit of a unique request, as we've not received too many applications for temporary uses, and this is the first as an event venue for temporary use. In reviewing previous cases, I found 2 examples of temporary uses, the first of which were temporary uses granted to Patterson Ice Arena to serve alcohol at single-day events on 3 different occasions. And then the second example is that in 1995 and 1997, 2 different churches were permitted to occupy commercial spaces for up to 3 years as a temporary use until they completed construction of permanent facilities. So section 2307 of the zoning ordinance provides the ZBA the authority to review and approve temporary uses, provided that those uses comply with section 418 of the zoning ordinance. And we're most familiar with section 418 when we have dealt with the request for temporary buildings. Section 418 requires that the ZBA determine if the use or structure is indeed temporary and if it will be served by a healthful water supply and toilet facilities. So staff did receive comments from both the building and fire departments stating that even as a temporary use, this would be considered a change of use for the building code and fire codes. So the building would be required to meet the current code requirements for an assembly occupancy. So the applicant would need to provide documents demonstrating code compliance in order for the building department to issue permits. So it's also important to note that the property and events will need to meet the noise regulation standards, which prohibit activities that produce clearly audible sound beyond the property line between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So I believe it would be helpful for the zoning board to consider if a limit should be placed on the number of events permitted, as well as number of guests allowed at an event. So at this time, staff are recommending you approve the request for temporary use with the following 3 conditions: that the approval allows for no more than 20 events to be held between the months of August 2022 through December 2022, that the property and all activities will remain in compliance with township lighting, signage, and noise standards, that the applicant demonstrate compliance with the building and fire code requirements and receive approval from the building department and fire department.
So Brian, so with condition 1, this temporary use permit is only then for this year.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
It's not permanent. It's just
Yep.
August through December.
Just
2022.
reviewing it, yes, for this year.
Good.
Okay, Brian, I mentioned to you over there, so we've talked about staff recommending 20 events. Not sure, we'll talk to the applicant if that's a adequate number. My concern obviously is the health department, building codes. This is a suggested assembly versus just a greenhouse. So has the health department had anything to weigh in on this?
Not at this point. If there's required to add bathrooms and things like that, they'd have to review that from a septic system perspective. And then from a health food perspective at this time, the applicant speak to this too, but they're not planning on serving any of their own food. It'd be caterers coming in who would then have the health department or liquor license, but the applicant can confirm that as well.
Okay.
Any comments from any surrounding?
I had not received any yet.
Has the fire department weighed in on it in terms of exiting?
They didn't provide any comments. They saw the site plan as well, sent that to them. Their comments were just on the structure itself. Again, similar to the building department, that it has to make sure it's meeting standards for an assembly, not just a greenhouse.
All right.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. We will turn it over to the applicant for their presentation. Like to come forward, name and address.
Christian Vandenberg. My address is 1014 Powers Avenue, Grand Rapids. And yes, I'd like to thank you guys for hearing my application. And yeah, I am the future owner of Snow Avenue Greenhouse. I'm planning on taking it over next year. My father is selling it to me. And I've worked there since I was a young boy. So I have plenty of experience with the building and the surrounding areas. And we don't do anything in the late summer or fall. So I was looking for ways to like make the building useful. It's kind of being wasted in the late summer and fall. So for the past 2 years, I've worked in events. I have done catering and the like, and saw it as a potential opportunity.
What kind of events are you planning to have?
Just wedding receptions, like like a lot of my friends I'm like at that age where a lot of my friends are getting married, and they have vented to me on numerous occasions how hard it is to get wedding reception scheduled because of the backlog from the pandemic. So I see it as a great opportunity.
Okay.
Do you have to retrofit the building for anything like that?
I'm talking to an architect right now, but I think it's been established that I'd have to get up to code up for any actual use of the building as far as somebody goes. So
have you explored that to any great depth? I mean, having been in the catering, as you mentioned, you understand obviously the sanitary facilities, the water question mark, if existing water source, I don't know if it's been tested, if the health department is going to have an issue. I mean, I would hate to see you go down a path of getting all the approvals and then find out there's one that just completely voids the opportunity. So understanding you've got the fire department, you've got the health department, you've got the building codes.
yeah, correct. I've been talking to an architect and trying to get everything up to code as far as the building goes.
Okay.
I haven't investigated anything as far as the health department goes, as far as like testing the water or anything like that. We've never had a problem with the water. I feel like if we've been drinking that water for
Right.
20 years. So
I say it because having been being in the construction industry, one of the things is the change of use is a very key item to a lot of facilities. So people look at a space and say, wouldn't it be great to do this? But then when they find out the various layers of approvals that are needed, you change the use from growing in a greenhouse to a point of assembly for a population. Suddenly they say, where are you getting your water from? Is it meeting a certain standard? It starts throwing a lot of things in the mix.
Right.
And I'd hate to see you get well down the path and find out something's a game changer for you.
No, we are a greenhouse and we do use quite a bit of water. I feel like we use a lot less water for wedding events than in our day-to-day operations in the spring and summer. And yeah, as far as bathrooms go, we're like probably going to bring in portable bathrooms, at least until I get full approval. And yeah, as far as like continued investment, like the building's already there and I'm just trying to get approval so I can start the process and start like investing and actually getting us there.
The staff made mention of the 20 events. Is that something that you've reviewed as well?
Yes, like generally or the greenhouse operates from January till usually late July or early August is when we close. So yeah, the 20 events will be a good number.
Okay.
And I don't think we'll meet the 20 event threshold this year because weddings usually need to be planned in advance, quite a decent amount in advance. So I'm a little concerned I'm not going to be able to get anybody to schedule this year. And plus getting everything up to code might take a little bit of time, unfortunately.
Tom had mentioned this is just good for this year. Right? So you're going to come back in next year and ask for the same?
Probably, yes.
All right. Any other questions?
No, I make a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
All right, motion and support of open public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We are open the hearing. Obviously, no one in the stands. Anybody online? We have no one in line.
Move to close public hearing. Second.
Motion and support to close public hearing. All in favor?
Aye. Thanks, Christian. You can sit.
All right. Hearing none, motion carries. We have closed. We'll bring it back to the commission for discussion.
I really favor this variance for good reasons. If this were in a residential district, obviously it would be a no starter. But it's not. Snow Avenue is a great place. I bike by there every week. There's nobody across the street. There's nobody behind it. There's nobody to the south. There's a church that's been up for sale to the north and a house behind it. That's it. So it's really out nowhere. It's a great facility. I've been in it hundreds of times because I spent a lot of money there. And is your dad Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave's a great guy. And so it's really almost, I wouldn't want to say ideal because it's out there a ways, but I don't think there's going to be disruption for anybody, and staff has put some really good conditions on here. And are you comfortable with these conditions?
Yes.
So given its location, given that there are good conditions put on it by staff, it's not a residential district by any means. They're on 46 acres. I think it's worth approving, and if he's got to make these changes, then to come back next year, we see how it goes this year. I think it would be an easy one to approve next year as well, as long as the conditions are met. So with that, I make a motion to approve the variance for the temporary use with the following conditions as provided by staff.
I would I'd like to interject one comment with it. Just as we look at the overhead, my only concern is, and it's great that we're looking at this as a one year event. As Mother Nature changes, we'll see how it plays out. But this property does have a lot of opportunity to take on additional space outside. So I want to make sure the board's cautious of thinking future as things might spill outside the building.
Meaning what, Aaron?
Meaning, we have the event venue, described as an inside event right now with parking.
I see.
But if we start thinking of external event activities, great for the first year, that it'd be an opportunity for him to test the waters and see. But I just like everyone to keep conscious of an event that, I don't want to say spills out, but kind of spills outside the building footprint and then becomes more of a question mark for others to add to that in other facilities. So, only comment.
And one of the reasons, that's a great point. And one of the reasons my comfort level is that even if it were to spill outside, I don't know if they'd have to have a building permit, obviously, to make changes to accommodate that. But again, there's not, I mean, if they went behind it, there's nothing behind them for
Right.
acres and acres. It's really, it's wide open.
To kind of Aaron's point, that was one of the reasons I was more comfortable with it too, is that right now it's showing as enclosed, and that obviously can limit noise and sound and things like that. So having it in that building was helpful for me to see too. And then I would recommend adding one condition to your motion, is that the applicant provide a schedule of their events to staff so that we can see what and when they're having and how many events they might go through. So asking applicant to provide a schedule of events to staff as a fourth condition.
Sure. Is that okay, Christian? Yes. Then I, again, make my motion to approve the variance with staff's conditions, and the fourth condition that the applicant provide a schedule of events.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and support on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Good luck.
On to Article 7, any other business? Staff have anything to chat about?
Just that we will have our August meeting, I believe, which is scheduled for August 9.
That Article 8, I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion for adjournment.
I'll support.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We are adjourned.
Good luck, Christian. Hope it goes well.